What's up, everyone? Chris here from MTR Network, and yeah, we're into Infinity War weekend, and it's already breaking records, and it's a fucking great film. If you haven't seen it, right, go out there, run out there, and get it and see it. Like I'm making this now. In a couple hours, I'm gonna go see it again in IMAX. I can't wait to fucking see it, and I might see it a third time. So but you know, you might be going. Maybe you're not into comics. Maybe you're not really into the comic movies. You're really you see the movie, and you're kind of confused as to who Thanos is, who the Black Order is, and what the hell the Infinity Stones are. So, also released today our Character Corner on the Character Corner podcast, and we kind of go into the history of Thanos, the Black Order, the Infinity Stones, or as they originally were called, the Soul Gems, and so, you know, you can get that on anything you get your favorite podcast at, or you can watch it here because I'm gonna have the rest of it after I do this little intro. You can go to Character Corner on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, wherever we get that stuff is. But like I said, we kind of go in just dealing with that. But before we even get into that, because and this was by accident, like Thanos really involves Marvel Cosmic, and so in this video we kind of go through like a quick, really quick, brief introduction to some of the Marvel Cosmic entities, like the Eternals, and kind of why they look so familiar next to the DC's The New Gods. And it's basically because, well, Jack Kirby did both. And so we kind of go into that. We bring up some Adam Warlock stuff, who, if you read Infinity Gauntlet, you realize Adam Warlock is kind of an asshole. There's that. And then we go into some of the books that kind of lay into and define Thanos. I mean, obviously there's an Infinity Gauntlet, but there are two books that I think really that we talk about in this Character Corner, and I think it's the two that really stand out to me. One is Thanos Rising by Jason Aaron, and again, if it says Jason Aaron as the writer on the book, you should be reading it. And Thanos Rising is, I think it's 5 issues. It was done in 2013, but it gives a really, really great breakdown as to the origins of Thanos, and really explains why they call him the Mad Titan. And you're definitely going to want to check that out. It's great. Like I said, it's 5 issues on Marvel Unlimited, so you can get, matter of fact, almost all of these books, if not all of them, are on Marvel Unlimited. So they're easy to find, easy to read if you have a Marvel Unlimited subscription. Then the second thing is, you can go, and they've actually combined these. These are on Marvel Unlimited, but if you want to go out and buy them, you can go to Amazon. I think Amazon calls it the Silver Surfer Rebirth of Thanos collection. Again, by Jim Starlin, and it's based, I think it's issues, was it 34 through 38 of Silver Surfer Volume 1, and Thanos Quest 1 and 2. And honestly, well, everybody's telling you to go out and read Infinity Gauntlet to prepare for, or to really understand Thanos in Infinity War. I honestly think this is more in line with what you should be reading. It basically gives you the motivation of Thanos, and it also shows him going out and collecting all of the stones. And I really think that fits. I mean, again, you're going to want to read Infinity Gauntlet. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. It's 6 issues, and it's also good. It's very, very 90s. But you definitely want to go and read these Silver Surfer issues and Thanos Quest 1 and 2. It really fits into there. So, like I said, if you want, you can either go to our podcast and listen to the entire thing. So I know some people don't want to do it on YouTube, because when you close the YouTube app, it stops playing the audio. So you can go and listen to the podcast there, or just stay tuned, and it's about 90 minutes or a little bit under 90 minutes of Deepam and I just going through the history of Thanos and hitting some issues. So check it out, and I'll see you on the other side.
All right, so let's get into this. So obviously, you know, Thanos is not making his live action debut. We've seen him a couple times before in the MCU, but you're really gonna see him in Infinity War. So we were like, hey, now's a good time. Some people don't know, they don't read the comics, so let's kind of go in and you know, explain, you know, who Thanos is and what's going on with that. So I started reading this stuff, you know, because you know you can find Thanos stuff pretty easily, and I made this I had this revelation, was like, fuck, this is like 3 or 4 more episodes. Because I'm going through this stuff.
Yeah.
Because
you opened it here, sir.
Right. Well, because what I realized is when you do Thanos, it is around that era. It's really the baseline of Marvel Cosmic, and we've touched on aspects of Marvel Cosmics. We did it with the Inhumans a little bit. We did it with cause matter of fact, we were like, that's when the Inhumans got good, when we went cosmic with them. We did it with the War Kings, with when we hit Alex Summers, and we ended up doing Vulcan and things like that. I think that is pretty much it as far as cosmic stuff in Marvel.
That we've touched on so far, yeah.
That we've touched on so far, but we're about to get really into it, so I thought it would be kind of good to, and I guess we'll get into this when we talk about the Eternals a little bit. Some of the stuff with Apocalypse kind of deals with that, and there's a kind of a loop with that stuff there in the High Evolutionary. But yeah, this is really a good touchstone for Marvel Cosmic, and so we are going to mention some characters, some things here that either are going to turn into their own character corners, or we'll do a whole Marvel Cosmic or couple podcasts, stuff like that. But I just wanted to kind of go through and kind of give you guys like a little primer first, because it'll make the Thanos stuff mean more. So do you want to start off with this?
Yeah, so when you go big picture Marvel, you start dealing with things like abstracts. And if you've heard our Ultimates character corner, which I unfortunately had to miss, I know you guys talked about that kind of stuff. And if you guys read the Silver Surfer run, I keep recommending to everyone, you've definitely heard it and read it. But I guess when you're talking about our universe, kind of the guardians, the gardeners, if you will, of Celestials. And I don't even know how to really. They were apparently parts of the cosmic order. And after seeing the many, it's so weird because now I kind of want to like go Ultimate to talk about the many different iterations of the universe. Right. So I'm like, well, in 7, this is no, but right, essentially, they're the gods that patrol the universe as it exists.
Mm-hmm.
They occasionally they're named, occasionally they're not. They're always associated with an idea or a role. Examples include Ashram the Judge, Devron the Experimenter, Esau the Searcher, the Celestial tasked with seeking. And they experimented on planets.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and this is where the Apocalypse stuff came from, because remember we had the Apocalypse Journal. I can't remember what issues those came from, where Apocalypse kind of went through. He found the Celestial ship and was looking at the experiments that the Celestials were doing on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's like, if we talk about Apocalypse, is you talk about like the Uncanny Avengers run.
There we go. That's what it was.
Very tied to the Celestials, and in that book, Thor kills a Celestial.
Mm-hmm.
And with a fucking axe, and it's as metal as it sounds. And they destroy the planet. And then the arc continues, because some writers are very, 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 very good at this. But the Celestials experimented on planets. They basically seeded life throughout the universe. On Earth, they seeded abilities in people and performed genetic experiments on proto-humanity. They created 2 races, Eternals and Deviants. They also apparently is the reason people can get superpowers. It happens on other worlds too, the same kind of results. That's important to note. Eternals look human. They live. I guess now, are they immortal in the books now, canonically?
Man, it's weird, right?
It flushed.
It does. I think they're still immortal, kinda. I think, yeah.
Well, there was at one point they could only die by one another's hand. I remember that because some of the thirsty stuff in like early 90s Avengers. Wow, I just had like a really weird flashback. I didn't prep that. I just remember it. Or we Eternals. Okay. So yeah, this is these are basically almost immortal beings. They had advanced technology. They have been protectors of the human race. The deviants have always kind of gone after the humans, and that's kind of like it's weird. So Eternals comes from a strange place. Well, Jack Kirby left Marvel.
I was about to say the Jack Kirby stuff.
Let me explain.
Right.
In 1970, Jack Kirby left Marvel to go to work at DC. He started the New Guy. That's where Darkseid comes from. That's where Big Barda. That's where Miracle Man. That's where Highfather, Light Ray. They all come from Jack Kirby's trip to DC. While he was there, the books he was on kept getting canceled, so the story remained unfinished. That's kind of why the New Gods are the most favorite toy over there. Similarly, he came back to Marvel, started a similar story with Eternals and Deviants being the Highfather and Darkseid of the side of it.
Right. So if you ever go, well, it looks like Marvel ripped off DC. Well, yes, but also it with the same creator.
Yeah, it's Jack ripped off Jack.
Right. So can you? It's that you. It's like you can't rip yourself off.
Yeah, it's an homage.
Right.
And so, but the same thing happened in Marvel. The Eternals books never got their plotlines resolved. Unlike DC, where they kind of evolved into the next wave of gods kind of self-important thing, they've been largely forgotten in Marvel lore. They pop up when they're needed, but they're very rarely needed.
Well, they basically go off for their own world, and you just don't see them until you do.
Exactly. It's very convenient.
And then Jim Starlin comes along.
Jim Starlin.
Which, who, by the way, has a legitimate gripe with Marvel, and has finally said he's never coming back to Marvel after the shit with. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't hear?
Was he back now?
They're putting the book out.
I thought they were going to put the book out anyway. I thought he still said it was.
Going to finish it. Do it now.
Oh. he has a love-hate relationship with Marvel. I swear to God.
So, you want to talk about like work for hire and like licensed material and how weird it can be? Just read up on Jim Starlin and Thanos sometime.
Yeah,
because it can get ugly. Because Jim Starlin's a writer and artist. Jim Starlin created Thanos from whole cloth, from nothing.
Yeah. Iron Man 55. He was
by Marvel when he did it.
Right. So, but yeah, he comes in and so we get Jim, and he's writing. He was writing a lot of. He really gets it heavy in there because we're gonna be jumping around for the Thanos stuff because Thanos gets introduced in was it Invincible Iron Man 55? I believe it was.
Yes.
I believe it was Invincible. They had the Invincible title in front of Iron Man for that. And it's actually part of an ongoing story that you bring in Adam Warlock, you bring in Captain Marvel. I'm gonna call it Marvel just so we can get around. We're gonna have to do a whole thing on the Captain Marvel, all of them. We'll just do one big one, or maybe we'll have to break that one up. It involves Silver Surfer. Like it's this big thing that cemented Thanos as. I want to say, cause I mean now it's like he's the basically one of the big bads of the Marvel universe, but I want to say he was like literally one of the big bads of Cosmic Marvel. Like he was the terror of Cosmic Marvel, if you think about it.
Right, and he was kind of when he drops into the Iron Man story, it's kind of like established his bona fides because everyone's around him are so scared.
Right. And like I said, he comes in as, like you said, already a scary person, already this thing that people are worried about. And he already has his reputation about him. So I guess did you end up reading Thanos Rising, the Jason Aaron stuff?
I did.
All right. Do you want to use that as the origin stuff and then come into the other stuff? Because it kind of.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to say that was 2004.
Let me actually open. I'm gonna pull.
Look it up and see. So because this is kind of like the Apocalypse stuff where you don't get you get various stories of Thanos' beginnings, and so while he's looking at that, let me give you some stuff on Thanos. All right. First, it's very important to find out what Thanos' family is. We brought up the Eternals. The reason why we brought up the Eternals is Thanos is, well, let's go with his grandfather. Thanos' grandfather is Kronos. He's an Eternal that becomes a cosmic entity And if you again listen to our Ultimates comic book club, you know about Kronos. So Thanos is basically already son of almost royalty, cosmic royalty, grandson of cosmic royalty. His father, Alars, is the son of Kronos, is called the Mentor from Titan. I think that's where the Eternals settled at. His mother is Susan. His brother is Eros, Star Fox. And Thanos was born with the deviant gene. So while all of his rest of his family, with the exception of Kronos, looks human and looks normal like every other Eternal, Thanos is the one, again, purple skin, as who was it? I can't remember what it is that Deadpool called it, but the chin, like everything, like Thanos was clearly different. And we'll get into more of the details, but like the story you always hear, and I can't remember the first time they told the origin. His origin is he killed his mother when he was younger. When he grew up, eventually came back and slaughtered everybody that was on Titan except for his brother and his father. And you get the idea that he's and even in when you get when you first they first introduce him in Invincible Iron Man, he has basically he's leading basically a crew of mercenaries. He has a fleet of, I wouldn't say crew, a fleet of mercenaries. So Jason Aaron's run is a little I think it's 4 issues. There's 5 issues?
It's 5 issues, and it came out in 2013.
2013. Oh, wow. It's newer than that. And it basically gives you this look into who Thanos is and what happened in his childhood. And I would highly recommend reading that first because it brings in so many other places. The other aspect I'll bring into this as well is that, and this is the thing that everybody knows because we'll eventually get into Infinity Gauntlet, he has this thing for death, the entity of death. He's always trying to impress the Mistress Death and wants to prove that he's the only person in the universe that is worthy to be her suitor. They enter Jason Aaron. And again, if you see Jason Aaron stuff on something, read it.
Southern Bastards, Thor, the Avengers coming out. If it says Jason Aaron, buy that book. Thank us later.
So I saw somebody when I was putting my list together. Everybody puts a list together, things like this, and they were complaining about Thanos Rising. They said they didn't like it, but terrible. Then I found out what it was. They only read the first 2 issues. If you only read the first 2, go ahead.
Even that, like I know we do this sometimes. The opening line of the first issue.
Yeah.
Titan, the largest moon of Saturn. Once every solar cycle, a lone visitor comes to this silent, frozen world to walk upon the ashes of the great city where he was born, the utopia he left in ruins. With cosmic fire in his veins and the blood of a million worlds dripping from his fingers, with all of infinity trembling before him, with death as ever his closest companion, Thanos the Destroyer has come home. Like, what the fuck?
And so it goes back and it tells you the story of Thanos. From the moment he was born as a child, his mother tried to kill him. She is she's basically told that he is born, she gets a knife, tries to stab him. We have to kill it. We have to kill it before it grows. Let go of me, Lars. You have to let me kill it. And she tries to kill it, and she goes crazy. His mother goes crazy. But then young Thanos is growing up. He looks like a monster. Doesn't play. He keeps to himself. But he's basically presented as nonviolent. That he's standoffish. He doesn't want to get physical. He doesn't want to. He actually screams at one point. They're going to. They're in a class and they're going to dissect one of the lizards that's native to Titan. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't like. They present it as he doesn't like the feeling and to cut another being. But one of the things that kind of Jason Aaron kind of shows you how fucked up Thanos is as a child. A group of kids see him and he's off by himself, and they come over and they convince him to come with him and play with him, stuff like that. And he drops his little coloring, the book he was drawing in. He was drawing the dark dead carcass of a lizard. So it's like you have this thing where Thanos has always had this fascination with death, even if he didn't really understand it. So what you find out in this series is, so in the first issue, his friends go out and they're going to go exploring, and he convinces them to come out with him to explore this cave. There's a cave in though, and he gets cut off from the other kids, and he's surrounded by all these lizards, and he says to them, it's like, 3 days of digging, I must be getting close. The others, I must be getting close to others. We couldn't possibly have separated for more than this. I just hope they're faring as well as I am. He looks at one of the lizards. It's okay, little one. Doesn't matter how long I'm down here. I promise I won't get hungry enough to eat you. Any of you. But there are a lot of you today, aren't there? I must be getting close to the surface. So he's digging through. He finally gets that, and he finally gets to near the surface where his friends are, and he finds out they've actually been all eaten by the lizards. And it says later, years later, once Thanos had become what he is destined to become, the people of Titan will look back to the death of those children, and they decided that Thanos had murdered them. Again, I thought that too. I was like, oh wow, he's probably making all this up in his head. In those dark caves, they imagined the monster hiding inside Thanos had first emerged, but they would only be half right.
That little girl.
Right. He's approached, and throughout this entire issue, he's approached by this little girl who comes up to him and tells him, what you're feeling right now is not wrong. There's a lizard around, he almost wants to choke it. It's not wrong, it's only natural. Go away, you don't know about a thing about me. I know if you really love them, you let nothing hold you back. And she watches as he goes into the cave, and he slaughters all of the lizards that were down there. The next issue, basically, again, still setting this little pass of Thanos being a child, and you're seeing him now have these questions about himself. He's probing, trying to find out what is wrong with him. There's something inside of him, he can't figure out what it is. And this is when the book starts taking a really, really dark turn. You would think that slaughtering kids with lizards would be the dark turn. Not even fucking close. Thanos then goes around. He starts kidnapping people. First he starts experimenting on on animals.
Well, y'all remember issue 1 had him drawing those disgusting things, but he was too scared to do a dissection.
Right.
And now it's a hobby.
Now it's a hobby. He's now taking animals and dissecting them, experimenting on them while they're still alive. Still, it's not doing anything for him. So eventually he decides, again, this entire time this little girl is egging him on, pushing him on to do these things. He then kidnaps his first real people. Experiments on them. Still isn't doing anything for him.
And in the centuries between the founding of the City of Eternals on Titan and the birth of the deviant gene Thanos, there was not a single recorded instance of murder. No crimes of passion, no executions, no acts of war. Among the Eternals of Titan who had known peace for eons, it was said that there did not even exist the concept of murder until the one called Thanos invented it. Motherfucker.
It's amazing. He eventually, because again, this girl keeps telling him, you're looking in the wrong places. You know where you have to look. You know where you need to go. And then there's this panel. These tools, Thanos talking to somebody who's looked up to in his lab. These tools, I made these myself. No such instruments had ever existed on Titan before. I imagined them into being from nothing. It's scaffolds, anything you would see like on a dissection, like just he has all these tools, and I've become quite good at using them. As you can start to see with the animals, first the green-tailed lizard that infested this world like fleas. Then I moved on to bigger and bigger fleas. I've killed 17 people. Children mostly, boys and girls both. A couple of my professors as well. I told them I was looking for answers to the secrets of the cosmos, to my destiny, to the mysteries of my own DNA, but that wasn't true. I killed them because I had too much love in my heart and no place to put it. No one to give it to. I killed them because I liked it. Because killing someone is the only time I don't feel alone. That makes me a monster, doesn't it? You don't have to answer. I know it does. I never asked to be born this way. This wretched thing I am. All I ever wanted was someone to love and someone to love me back. There must be an answer to why this happened and why I am here the way I am. I'm sorry, but but I have to know. And there's nowhere else left to look. I'm sorry, mother, and it turns to the panel of him literally with his mother strapped up, with a knife in his hand, while the cut her open. I'm sorry, mother, but the key to who I am is somewhere inside of you. And once I found it and cut it out, I won't have to be a monster anymore. It's amazing. But it doesn't stop there. Again, this is only 2 issues. We then do a time jump in issue 3. And you show a grown-up Thanos now.
He's not killing.
Huh? Yeah, he stopped killing. Stopped killing. He started following. He has kids. He's fathered kids. He's got another alien woman. He hops on a pirate ship and he joins a group of pirates. But he never engaged in the killing. Goes around, finds another woman, sleeps with another woman. This kind of goes around as he's again, all these kids, asking them, is there a monster in you or is it just me? No matter the planet, no matter what alien race he chose to mate, the offspring of Thanos were born healthy and strong. They all look like their mothers. None will remember their father. Goes around. Then finally, he's pushed too far. The captain of the pirate ship wants to kill him. And Thanos is going to let him. Closes his eyes. But when he opens it, he has a sword in his hand. And he is literally, not only he hasn't just decapitated, he has literally torn this man apart. And he then becomes.
Just like spinal column and head.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It just happened. He comes back to Titan to visit the grave of his mother. And that little girl that he saw when he was growing up is there. She's all grown up. He's saying that because he's fallen in love with her. And he said, like, I've done all this stuff for you. It's like, I've always knew better than you. She says to him, I've always known you better than you know yourself. Isn't that why you're here? Yes, I've missed you. Have you now? Then why do you reek of the alien harlots and mewling bastards? Tell me, do you think that makes you a man, having sowed your wild oats throughout the outer space? I've seen the far reaches of the cosmos, and yes, I have known the embrace of many women from more alien races than I have ever knew existed. I sired offspring with almost all of them. I also swore off a murder and tried to live as other men do. I did these things hoping I would find some manner of fulfillment in life. I'm here now before you because I have failed. Because there has ever only been one woman that truly understood me, who filled my heart with fire, one worthy of my pain of living, you. What do you think I've been sitting here waiting for you all your time for your touch? Yes, I think you need me as much as I need you. I think whatever it is you want, I am the only man in the universe who can give it to you. Because what you wish for, there are many things I want. Be my bride, and that you shall have them. If you would ask me to give you my everything first, I need you to do the same. I need you to know you belong to only me. Only to me. Do you understand what that means, Thanos? Thanos then goes and slaughters one of the mothers of his children and the kids. So if you haven't figured it out by now, that little girl is death.
Oh, it's death.
It's death.
Ugh.
But what makes it better is, so as you go through this now Thanos has now fully embraced the idea of he has to be deaf and everything like that. But this is where I think issue 4 is where I was like, oh shit. In issue 4, after because Thanos again, we'll go into his power set and everything like that. One of the things about Thanos, just like Apocalypse, like he's like Cosmo Apocalypse to me. Could again a lot of his own personal modifications. A lot of his powers come from things he's done to himself or things he's acquired. He's into science and all this other stuff. So again, he has this big pirate fleet now, and one thing you quickly find out is Um, nobody sees death but him.
Right.
Death isn't there. You can even have the argument that death is never there. Like, we do know that the entity of death, the Mistress of Death, is an entity in the Marvel Universe. But I think this is where basically what Jason Aaron's story tells you is, because eventually he goes back to Titan, he slaughters all the people on Titan. Like, this is a brutal book. And what it tells you, you get why he's called, because one of the nicknames for Thanos is the Mad Titan. And you find out the reason why they call him the Mad Titan is when he's talking to Death, nobody else sees Death. He's talking to himself. And so everybody is, even the people on his ship, are fucking terrified of him.
They think he's crazy.
Because
he might be crazy.
Because he's talking to himself. And yeah. Like, there's that one point where I see it. He's like, take her away, lock her in the darkest, coldest cell you can find. Maybe then she'll warm to my touch. Don't just stand there. You heard my order. With all due respect, my captain. Her who? Why can't they see you? What have you done to them? Oh, Thanos, if you don't want to be treated like a child, you should really stop acting like one. You know why they can't see me. Because no one can see me. No one has ever. But no one but you. Oh, but my men, they think you're quite mad. They see you arguing with thin air sometimes, dragging rotten corpses into your bed chambers, only to sob and beg them to touch you. Because that's the other thing, too. At one point, he's slaughtering one world, and one of the surviving guys goes, why are you doing this? Tell him to stop. He's like, go ask her when I can stop. He goes into the room, and there's just a corpse laying on the bed. And he runs out, and he's like, you're like, what the fuck is that about? You find out that Thanos is dragging dead corpses around into his bed, begging for them to touch him. Like, he's insane. Thanos Rising is good, like, guys. Like, I say lead with Thanos Rising because it gives you the insight into who Thanos is. Now we can get back on the track and to get into the chronological order. So.
The next thing he does, the end of issue 4, he does the thing he's most famous for.
Slaughtering Titan.
He shows his entire own world.
Yes.
It's been depicted lots of places. I do enjoy the depiction. I think it's a good depiction in Thanos Rising.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the while we're getting the story of Thanos emerging, also, you've got the story of Mentor trying to be convinced by his father to go find his son.
Well, the other thing you got to realize is the Eternals are, for the most part, peaceful, and they cannot defend themselves against.
They have a word for war,
right.
for murder,
right? Until Thanos invented it. Yes, it is a truly so when you get that background on Thanos, so then let's come back into the order of when his first appearance. So I think his first appearance is again Invincible Iron Man 55, and then you get into Captain Marvel stuff, some Avengers stuff, and I think this first run of Thanos of Thanos there is he's trying to get the Cosmic Cube, and unlike in the movies, the Cosmic Cube is not an Infinity Stone,
right?
But yes, he's trying to get a hold of the cosmic. Let's see what I have here. And it eventually gets the cube and makes him an omnipotent. Makes him a god. Prisons Kronos. And again, it deals with the Captain Marvel. Not Carol Danvers. Actual. What is Captain Marvel's other name?
Miss Marvel?
No. Actual male Captain Marvel. Marvel, yeah, sorry. And they eventually defeat Thanos by destroying the cube. The second Thanos Returns stuff involves Adam Warlock. And let's see, when is this?
The Warlock stuff starts, let's see.
I guess Strange Tales 178, I believe, is stuff, and you get into some of the stuff from Warlock. it. So here's the thing about the Thanos stuff. So the Adam Warlock stuff is really weird because what ends up happening, Adam Warlock teams up with Thanos to defeat this person Magus, who you then find out is actually a future version of Adam Warlock that's been corrupted by the Soul Stone, the Soul Gem, which is actually implanted in.
It's important we call the word gem.
Yes, gem.
The words will change through the telling of this story.
Yeah, they will.
Let's start with gem.
Yeah, the Soul Gem, which is actually, he basically has the, I'm gonna call it the Vision, where it's the Soul Gem is in his forehead. Well, Vision doesn't have the Soul Gem, but which just that's not good. So, in order and using that gem, Adam Warlock is able to steal the souls of others, and so he's again teams up with Thanos to to bring down Magus, and what he does in order to do this, he goes forward into a few months into the future, and then steals his own soul so that he can't become that version of Magus, right?
Right.
The reason why this is it sounds confusing, but when you read it, it makes sense because then you're reading this in Thanos Returns, and then in the middle of the fight, you see another Adam Warlock show up and capture the other one. Like, oh shit, it was this moment,
right?
Because he doesn't know when he was going to do it, and you see it in the middle of this fight, yeah, and what happens is he steals his own soul and he traps it in the Soul Gem itself. And all this will come important when we hit an Infinity Gauntlet. Because it basically sets up for where all that stuff is. Another person that falls in here, they get introduced as Drax. Drax is introduced in Captain Marvel 32. I want to say that is part of the first run of Thanos appearances.
Is it Thanos Quest?
No, this is before. This is still in the first. This is still in the first stuff. So it's still Captain. Yeah, because Drax is around during the first stuff and in Thanos Returns. The thing about Drax is he was Arthur Davis?
Arthur Douglas.
Arthur Douglas, which is a regular human, gets killed when Thanos' ship shows up, and I think is it Kronos or is it Mentor?
I believe it's Mentor.
Mentor
and Kronos to come together.
Yeah, come together, and they basically make him a creature of vengeance whose sole purpose is to stop Thanos. And he just and he becomes Drax the Destroyer. His daughter actually survives and becomes Moondragon. We'll leave that alone for now. It gets very this is all very, very confusing. We're trying to set this up because you don't really need to read all this stuff. Because for the most part, all this stuff gets covered when you get into more of the when you basically get into the lead up of Thanos Quest. Most of the stuff is covered within. All you kind of need to know is who the players are. You have
who's on the board.
Who's on the board. And so what we have here is Captain Marvel is out. Adam Warlock, Gamora, and the Troll Pip are all technically died, and they're all end up in the Soul Gem. The first time we see the first thing to become the Infinity Gems, I want to say is in Thanos Quest.
So yeah, that's the first time they're referred to as such. Yes,
right.
Up to this point, there have been 6 gems. They've all been referred to as Soul Gems.
Right. Every gem doesn't matter what they are. All of them are Soul Gems.
Right. So for the first time in Thanos Quest, they're referred to as the Infinity Gems.
Right. So before we even get to Thanos Quest, there's one thing I do want to get. Let's deal with the Silver Surfer stuff in 34 through 38. The first run of Silver Surfer. I call this a precursor to Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity Quest, and it's basically when death. Because throughout all this stuff, eventually Thanos is killed by, I think, Drax. Drax eventually fulfills his mission, kills Thanos. Death resurrects Thanos. And what I love about this is I think this is because again, this is not a spoiler. They've told us, the Russos came out and said that Thanos in the MCU is not motivated by a love for death, and the motivation really ties into, if you really want to find out what it is is really read. They're really pulling from the other aspect of this because everybody goes into Infinity Gauntlet thinking that Thanos is always about he killed half the universe just to impress Death. But there was another mission for him that Death had, and it was more of a practical one, and it really comes forward in him spelling it out in the Silver Surfer stuff. And it's basically that, you know, the universe can't handle all the people he's getting overpopulated.
Yeah.
That was the great imbalance. It's like, perhaps you're going to explain about the great imbalance. Death's minions spoke of that. Well, yes, they should, for it is the most dire threat to the universe has ever faced. In many ways, it is a metaphysical danger, but one strangely more easily illustrated than explained. And he takes Silver Surfer around to him, the universe, to kind of explain to him that, listen, we have to basically be a purging fire that makes the universe better. He takes the Silver Surfer to this universe, to this one planet with these small creatures on it. He's like, they're living fine now, and they know no war, but soon, in about 50 years, their planet will be overpopulated, and there will be civil war. There'll be all this stuff. It was like, we can fix it by killing half of them. And the Silver's like, no, this is fucking crazy. You can't do that shit. He's like, well, you're right. He's like, and normally when you go around and you fly around with your board, your cosmic power kills off any bacteria. But see, we teleported here, so we already did it. The bacteria you brought with you is infecting the planet, and half of the population has died already. Now, if you hurry back, you can save the other half. And this is where you see that Thanos is not just insane, but he's strategic. That's the thing I don't think a lot of people deal with. Like, Thanos is very, very fucking smart too. And
that's one of the things that I thought was highlighted well in Thanos Rising is that he's a scientist.
Yes.
He's a scientist. That's how we talk about power sets. The way he's so able to augment and change and enhance his powers is because he's building things all the time. He built concussive force blast. I think he gave himself telepathy. He has a plethora of powers that basically boil down to your worst fucking nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. His power, again, one time in Thanos Rising, he's literally touching his concussive blast.
That's how I think 4 opens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He has, he has bionic amplification, mysticism, power bestowed on him. But it's just all the stuff he's kind of pretty much added to himself. So then you get into, I think the next one is Thanos Quest. Again, you're still right before we get into the big Infinity Gauntlet. Now, I think this is stuff that if you really want to get into Infinity Gauntlet, that's great. Because Infinity Gauntlet, you can, and we did a comic book club on the Infinity Gauntlet, and you can just jump right into Infinity Gauntlet. And they kind of recap what happened. But Infinity Quest is basically, all right, Death has resurrected Thanos. And Thanos is like, all right, cool. He has another plan too. He wants to be her equal. So he needs to find a way to get that power and be the equal. So he convinces her to let him go out here and get what we now call the 6 Infinity Gems. And let's just go through what the Infinity Gems are right now.
Let's do the original ones because they have changed. Legacy.
So I have the original ones of this one: Soul Gem, Power, Time, Reality, Space, and Mind.
I thought you meant the colors.
Oh no, yeah, I'm going with the original color. So Soul Gem is green, Power is red, Time is orange, Space is purple, Reality is yellow, Mind is blue. Those are different from, I think, Legacy, and they're also different from what the movies are doing as well.
Movies are in line with Legacy.
Yeah. So, but we're just going off of the original ones. And so what happens, and again, showcasing how smart Thanos is, each of the Infinity Gems at this point is in the possession of an elder of the cosmos. And Thanos goes,
they thought it was safe.
Because they should have been. And Thanos goes and systematically takes them and defeats each one of them. And Thanos Quest is only 2 issues, but I actually find it even more impressive than, and not even find it is definitely more impressive than Infinity Gauntlet. Because what you get here is, what you find is that not only did the Thanos come together to get the gems, he knows how to use them when the elders don't. So they haven't figured out how to use the gems. So he takes the first gem he takes from the In-Betweener, who is trapped by chaos and order. And the first thing he does is he gets the soul gem by just trading. It's like, I can get you out of here. You give me the soul gem. Easy trade, and the In-Betweener tries to betray Thanos, and it doesn't fucking work.
Look, people keep thinking they're going to drop on Thanos,
and it
doesn't. This is going to be a recurring theme: is it doesn't work. It just flat out doesn't work. Like, you're probably going to die.
Like, here's the thing: we laugh about the prep time thing with Batman. Yeah, you know, I'm just saying, Thanos and prep time is actually yeah.
Thanos don't need no fucking prep time.
Right. So the In-Betweener tries to betray Thanos, and he's just like, his powers don't work. He's like, this is a nexus of reality, and existence where chaos and order bond. Within the plane, there is no dichotomies where your unique powers need in order to function. Again, he's the In-Betweener, so it's like, yeah, he can't work here. Because the Lord's chaos and order are gentle wardens, they allowed you the luxury to make your imprisonment more tolerable. But I doubt they'll indulge you so ever again. You see, that's why they imprisoned you within the prison of this existence. Even they weren't certain you wouldn't escape their mystical cage. So now Thanos has one of the gems. It's a soul gem. Now he goes. He takes on Champion. An elder to Champion has the power gem. And it's great. He takes on, he knows that he knows that he basically gets to rise out of the Champion to destroy the planet they're on. And Thanos is like, no, I survived. He's like, I've won. But he has his chair, so he's like, well, I'll leave you out here floating in space. So the Champion ends up trading his soul gem with Thanos, as long as Thanos drops him off the next planet. So Thanos says, okay, cool. Problem is, he doesn't drop him off on the planet's surface. It's like, I told you I would take you to the nearest planet. I have. He's left him there. So then he's off to get the third gem.
Like, this is going to be a recurring theme.
And what happens is, he uses the power. Once he gets getting one gem, he then starts using the powers of the other gems to defeat. Because again, none of the elders, while they have the gems, they don't really understand how to use the gems. So, he's taken on the elder, the gardener, who has the time gem. Says, poor gardener, you have no idea what rests on your brow. The infinity gems come from before all recorded time. I believe they might even be the cornerstones of all reality, and with them all facets of actual reality can be controlled. Warlock's gem is the key to the souls of all the sentient beings. Champion's jewel backs all the other infinite gems, all the gems with infinite power. It is the foundation of the galactic dynasty I envision. And your gem will give me the gift of time. You didn't consciously realize that was your jewel's secret property. With it, the streams of time can be reconstructed as easily as a child builds a sandcastle, only your subconscious barely perceived the gem's potential. That was how you created your wondrous garden. Your plants grew so rapidly because you raced them through their growth cycles, and then bloomed eternally because you froze them in the moment that they reached the zenith of their beauty. Botanical splendor never before achieved. Unfortunately, without the gem's aid, the garden's beauty won't last. For that, I am truly sorry, and I hope that you will understand my regret, even though you can no longer hear me. And then they go back to the panel, and they see that the gardener now has all these vines growing out of him, and he's dead. I use the gem of the power to augment your jewel's plant growing abilities to levels you never dreamed of, levels beyond your control. I immediately feel a certain amount of shame in turning your greatest gift into the instrument of your destruction. Thanos now has 3 gems. Again, I won't
go just beat you. He talks about it, and then he beats you in a way that makes you feel dumb.
It is truly like you go through. Like I said, I love Thanos Quest because not only does it go through, and it shows you Thanos Quest is good for 2 reasons for this character corner. It one shows you how smart and devious Thanos is. It's just you get that great panel of him just sitting on his chair, leaning forward, going, "For I am Thanos." Just so great. But it also gives you the idea of what the powers of each of the gems can do, and what they can do in the hands of somebody who actually. Because again, at this point, people have had the soul gems before, but they've never known what the actual powers can do. Thanos is the first one to truly understand what each gem can do, and then you can understand the insane, how insane it could be if you use them all together as one. And then we end up in Infinity Gauntlet. And that's what we get. It's when you get him, Thanos having all 6 gems. He's already got them. And he's decided that he's going to snap his finger and impress Death by killing half the universe, which is what she wanted to bring a balance. But also Thanos has miscalculated because now he's basically made her, Death, his slave, because now he is more powerful than Death. Mm-hmm. Again, we won't go too much into Infinity Gauntlet. Again, just become a premium, listen to our Infinity Gauntlet stuff. Again, you also find out that the only thing that beats Thanos is Thanos.
Yo, like, we had the Cuban's first appearance. He just gives it up.
Yeah. What beats him in Infinity Gauntlet is he literally beats everybody, even the cosmic entities. He beats eternity and becomes the new eternity. But because of that, he leaves the shell of his body, and Nebula picks up his body. Which, by the way, you also I think that's in Thanos Quest. I think it's either in Thanos Quest. I think it's in Thanos Quest where it's somewhere in there where they reveal what happened with where he literally burns Nebula because Nebula is claiming to be his granddaughter, and he doesn't believe it, and so he basically fries her. he
shouldn't have lied.
He does. You know what? It's the issues where he takes down Silver Surfer. So, but yeah, it's bad. Yeah, you don't lie on your birthright when it comes to Thanos. It's not good. So after Infinity Gauntlet, I mean, he's there a little bit. Like he gives it up for a little bit. After he's defeated, kind of gives up being Thanos, but that doesn't last long. There's Infinity War. There's some stuff there. There's Secret Defenders. There's some stuff there. I started reading the Cosmic Power stuff where he's literally just going around trying to find someone worthy enough to fight because he's bored.
He's just bored. He gets bored.
He's bored.
It's honestly like they made him a god twice, and it's kind of like, well, what's your follow-up act? And you kind of got to shrug. It's like, it's a tough one.
Right. Because he is a god. I mean, really. What else is there? There is Annihilation.
Okay, I'm talking about Annihilation.
Okay.
So Annihilation is one of my favorite. It's the thing that got me into Cosmic Marvel. And the entire kind of idea behind the series is that Annihilus has come from the negative zone and is taking over positive space. And Thanos ends up joining forces with him. And people, so a lot of the story is told from the front line of the war because the Annihilation wave is a bunch of bugs. There's no compelling discourse on the villain side. What happens is it turns into Annihilation, turns into just a series of war books where the characters are fighting this unstoppable wave of evil. Like, Chris, you've got to read it, man. You've got to read it.
You know, I've read. I need to go and start from the beginning, but we've covered parts of the Annihilation War, and you're right. It is a war book.
It's just a war book. Like Nova doesn't have his. Nova's the last Nova alive. Like he's got the entire Nova force. He's got like he's wearing like fatigues and shit because they are at war. So during this, Thanos sides with Annihilus. And so during the war books, there's all this like chatter and debate of like, why would Thanos go? You sure he's actually there? The Mad Titan, of course, he sided with him. And later on, when Moondragon, Drax's daughter, who we mentioned earlier, gets kidnapped, she asked him flat out why. He said, I was tired of watching life happen. I want to see how things changing would play out.
Again,
he's a scientist.
That and he's bored.
He's just fucking bored. And so he helps. So he ends up helping Annihilus capture Galactus and the Silver Surfer and powers their forces with the power cosmic. The universe is very much on the precipice of falling. Earth's having civil war, which results in a great Richard Rider Tony Stark scene, which is still one of I can't wait to do Richard Rider, so I can just talk about that one panel where he just slams Tony Stark for Civil War. Oh, it's beautiful. So once Moondragon reads Annihilus' mind, because what he thought was Annihilus can take over the universe and he'll see what happens next. She reads the hive mind and realizes that Annihilus just wants to destroy it all. So Thanos decides to release Galactus. As he's about to release Galactus to save the universe, Drax arrives. Now, this reincarnation of Drax gets stronger the closer he gets to Thanos. This is important. Because while Thanos is winning the fight, he eventually turns his back. And then Drax rips out Thanos' heart. Kills him.
Yep.
His spirit is seen alongside Death, watching Nova kill Annihilus to end the war. Spoilers on the comic that's like 15 years old. And then he's brought back.
Thanos Imperative.
My God.
Yeah.
Look.
This is what the Cantorverse and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've read that.
So Death brings him back because she's kind of a bitch.
Yeah, I mean,
like, let's be really real here. Death's kind of a bitch,
right? Yeah, God.
She resurrects him and makes him essentially unkillable. She traps him in this Cantorverse. In the Cantorverse, so we should probably actually one day do this. The death of Captain Marvel. We always kind of allude to it's very much a turning point in Marvel comics. It's the one death that will never be undone because Captain Marvel did not die in the field of battle. He did not die in the glorious sacrifice defending the world. He died of cancer.
Mm-hmm. He
died of cancer in an oversized graphic novel. And it's the one death they'll never undo. Ever. They'll tease it. They brought him back with Secret Invasion. It was a fucking scroll. They brought him back. They teased it with Generations. It was time travel. They will never bring back Marvel. And they shouldn't. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. And yeah, it's really a moving book. And so in this universe, in this Cantorverse, if you will, life won. What does that mean? They use mystic, deep science and mystic powers to cure the cancer from Marvel. But because that happened, the entity known as Death in that universe died. And so now you can't die in the Cantorverse.
And so what ends up happening in Thanos Imperative is they literally they're trying to get Thanos into the Cancer universe to basically bring back Death. Because to put it bluntly, Thanos is Death. Whether you believe in the entity, like you can then start making a good argument whether Thanos, the entity of Death, is real or if it's just a manifestation of Thanos.
It's just this particular flavor of crazy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but that was a great scene because the Guardians think that the Guardians of the Galaxy get him there, and they think that Thanos has betrayed them because he literally turns over to the Cantorverse version of Marvel, and it's like, just kill me. I'll do whatever you need me to do. Just kill me. And when Marvel doesn't realize that's like all part of the plan, because killing Thanos brings him closer to Death, which brings Death back, which then wins the fucking day.
And then Death leaves and goes back to our universe, and then the Cancerverse collapses with Nova and Richard Rider. Nova, Richard Rider, Star-Lord, and Thanos trapped inside.
Well, they had to keep him there because
they had to close the door
because Thanos because Death left him again, and Thanos was not happy.
That's kind of a bitch,
right? Just like she could save so much of the stuff. Just stop. Oh my god!
So Thanos gets trapped in the Cancerverse and eventually comes back. It'll be explained later because he just comes back, and I love that's what Marvel did. They're like, we'll tell it later. We'll tell it later. Did you ever read those Guardians issues?
No.
Okay, so what happened was they essentially just they're trapped there, and they can't die, but they can hurt each other. And Richard Rider eventually powers a cosmic cube to get Peter Quill home. And Thanos hitches a ride.
Of course Thanos does.
And he's brought back, and this is kind of when his return coincided with the prominence in the movies. So they had him come back in that book, Avengers Assemble. I didn't love that book.
Mm-hmm.
It was the movie. It was the obvious movie tie-in. It was a fine depiction of Thanos, but I didn't love it. Then get to Infinity.
The Infinity and New Avengers stuff that we covered, yes.
My God.
So again, remember what I said, and they covered this a little bit in Thanos Rising, but Thanos was going around fathering a bunch of kids. Well, find out in Infinity, Thanos is trying to find his half-inhuman, half-eternal son, Thane. And we've covered a little bit of this before. But so Infinity also gives us the first appearance of the Black Order, the Cull Obsidian, as Corvus says. And it's Corvus Glaive, Ebony Maw, Proxima Midnight, Black Dwarf, and Supergiant. Supergiant's the one that's not in the film. They decided not.
And they changed Black Dwarf's name to Cull Obsidian.
Yeah, exactly. And I like how Corvus said that they called us the Black Order. We call ourselves the Black Order. Thanos calls us the Cull Obsidian, but we felt it was too on the nose. It was because of what we do. We do bring death, and yeah. And these are the most loyal of servants to Thanos. And they are not afraid of death. Just like Thanos welcomes death, the Black Order welcomes death. Let's see. Black Dwarf is basically super strong strength and impenetrable skin. Corvus is Thanos' most favorite general. Has enhanced speed, strength, and has his blade can cut through anything. And when he's in his hand, he's basically immortal. Ebony Maw, genius level intelligence, and specializes in persuasion. You get that great stuff with him. Ebony Maw basically in a duel with Doctor Strange and wins. Proxima Midnight, Corvus's wife, master hand-to-hand combat, super strength, and her lance transformed to unavoidable transformed light beams, toxic light beams, and then Supergiant, member of the Black Order with telepathic abilities, is the one that controlled the bomb in Wakanda during Infinity, and this is where you get Corvus has my favorite line when they go to ask for tribute, and the tribute they were asking, because again, Thanos was going around trying to find all of his children. I think he was trying to find all of them, not just. Was he just trying to find?
He was killing all the oldest males on every planet.
Right, basically, and he was going and asking for a tribute, and the tribute was their heads. They gave the Black Order would give them a choice. You give us the heads of all your eldest children, or Thanos comes and destroys a planet. All or some. That is a choice. Comes to they find out that Black Bolt knows where Thanos' son is, so they come to Adelan, and he confronts Corvus, confronts the Queen and the King in the court, and basically demands that they do this, and that they basically bow the knee, if you will, and Medusa threatens Corvus, and he basically says, let me see if I can find the exact line, because it's just
you threaten a child with candy,
right? I wonder, which is like a warning for you, Corvus Glaive. People have come before the throne before with demands. Many times it has cost them their lives. I wonder, when you correct your children, do you threaten them with candy if they misbehave? Excuse me? You cannot threaten someone with what they want. Show this queen how much we fear death. And his entire guard pulls out their knives and slits their own throats.
Because they don't fuck around.
I am one of the 5. I do not frighten. Yes, you could attempt to kill me, but success would only mean another would follow with the same demands. My master will get whatever he desires. And what is that? A tribute. Like, these motherfuckers are scary as shit. Now, granted, in this, and again, we've covered this while Black Bolt and Maximus, they detonate a Terrigen bomb. This is where you get the Terrigen cloud that fills the Earth, and Thane, who is half inhuman, turns. He was a healer. He turns and literally burns down half the village when he turns.
He has become death.
Mm-hmm. He is his father's son.
Yeah.
He is his father's son. So long story short, they end up Thane ends up transforming his father, getting his father stuck in the living death. What I found interesting is I didn't know that he was stuck in the same position he was stuck in that first when Adam Warlock does it to him in Thanos Returns.
Yeah, it's the exact same. Yeah.
Exact same pose. I thought it was a nice little thing there. He's eventually freed. I believe, who is he? He freed? Is it Maximus? Namor frees Thanos to form the Cabal during Time Runs Out.
If you haven't read the Time Runs Out run, I'm not going to sing its praise right now. Just go read it.
Yeah, just go read that entire Hickman stuff, the new Avenger stuff. Gets all in there. And then we get into Secret Wars, which you could read. There is that Infinity Gauntlet book.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't really. I mean, it doesn't really do anything. It just you get a Thanos versus Thanos stuff. You did get but
Secret Wars is cool because our Thanos survives. They steal the life raft plans from our Reed, and they build a life raft that survives. And he comes through and helps fight Doom and finally faces Doom, and it's his spine removed.
Yeah, that it is. It is
like he's the one who talks Ben Grimm and is standing up and fighting Doom.
Yeah. He talks a lot of big shit and gets his spine removed by Doom. Like, again, Secret Wars is fucking amazing.
Okay, after Secret Wars, I want to say something. I missed the ultimate spot.
Go ahead.
There are 2 ways you can read the recreation of the 8th version of this universe. The first is what you read in Secret Wars. It's very literal. Literally, Molecule Man gave Reed Richards the keys. If you've read Silver Surfer, you know this world was put back together by Norrin Radd and Don Greenwood. And Chris, I need you to read it, man. It's the most meta, beautiful, like sad, wonderful book you ever read. It's the most romantic thing I've ever read, and I cry once a year when I read Spider-Man Blue. It's wonderful. But in creating the universe, they left someone outside of the universe. Thanos.
I mean, if you're gonna create a universe, and you can really create a universe you want and kind of leave something out, I can understand why you leave the Thanos out.
And that's what Surfer did. Like, it's never explicitly said, but when they're given the chance to recreate the new universe, they do it from Dawn and Surfer's remembrances of the world, and they make edits. And it seems like Thanos hit the cutting room floor, if you will.
I mean, again,
why would you ask him in? But he eventually, in this space between spaces, finds a new love, a new mistress. Nothing.
Which
the
makes
Ultimate's been outside time to try to fix it. And Thanos used the portal back to come back to our multiverse because he hates us. It's bad.
I mean, he comes back.
Real bad.
He comes back. He comes back. Tries to go after the cosmic cube. Kills Rhodey. What is it? Who was he eventually gets captured by the Ultimates. Who's in the Selby side? Oh God. Connor Sims convinces Connor Sims to blow the place. Like, Thanos is just all bad.
All bad.
All bad.
He escapes during Civil War II, and then gets apprehended by the Nova Corps. He gets free when he's being transported back to the kiln. And then we enter in the most recent Thanos series, which lasted 18 issues. The annual dropped today. And it's wonderful.
It's Lemire, and then Kate took over with the Thanos Wins stuff. And folks, read Thanos.
I don't want to spoil it. Like, I want to like touch on some things because they bring back Thane and they bring back people seeing death. And okay, so at one point, Thanos is thrown into a pit. A pit's supposed to test you as a man. It's supposed to see who you're supposed to be. If you don't know who you are, you can be lost there forever. Thanos is sent, and he's psychically presented to a world where he's not just good. He's an Avenger. He's the greatest Avenger. He's helping everyone. And at one point, he realizes it's not real, and he turns to the manifestation. It's the Falcon, but it's actually one of the people put in there. He said, "This is the best you got? This is your test? Will I turn down the ability to be a hero? I know who the fuck I am. I'm Thanos, the killer of worlds. Get me out of here and get my power back." And he gets his power back. And they do a really good job of establishing what his power is, because he fights the Phoenix.
God, he fights a Thane-powered Phoenix. I'm sorry, a Phoenix-powered Thane.
And he whips his ass.
Like,
oh, it's so good. It's a great series. And then, like you said, the last arc is called Thanos Wins. And Thanos is sent to the future to meet with the only person left, old Thanos. And what happens from there is awesome.
He fights oh God, yeah, the Silver Surfer fight, everything in that series.
Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yes, Cosmic Ghost Riding Frank Castle. If it sounds fucking crazy, it's because it is. Oh my God. So here's the thing, because like I said, we skipped a lot over a lot of stuff, but it's usually because honestly, at this point, that's what Thanos is. Thanos has become a force of nature. And I think that's the other thing too. It's like some of the recent stuff, like so the Thanos Rising and this new Thanos book really shows you, like, the thing that's so great about the Thanos book at the beginning is it's Thanos is dying. You find this out after the end of the first issue. And so he's losing his power. And you find out again, because Death is a bitch. Death is Death's doing. But then you also see how much the universe, the cosmic universe, fears Thanos.
No, he's dying and he fights the Imperial Guard to a standstill.
Right.
Like, he does not, he's like, I'm on my last legs, but these legs will go through you.
Like, when he escapes, it's just like,
I was waiting for when you get too comfortable and come to boast over your capture. Kills the warden and then has to fight this entire way out of the prison. Sighs and puts on his helmet. It's like, let's do it then. Like, what? So yeah, the Thanos Wins thing. It's great. And if you did you read this week's annual?
I haven't read the annual yet.
So hold on, I want to give me 1 second here. I want to pull it up because it's stories about Thanos told via the Cosmic Ghost Rider. So he's your narrator, and it's a good framing device. And if you read the story, it all makes sense. But it opens with him talking about how people talk about Thanos, and it's something that, like you said, we're shown throughout the book. We're shown kind of how other people, the fear the universe has of Thanos. And the idea that Thanos dying doesn't even compute with a lot of people. It's like, what do you mean he's dying? That's like there's no more blue. Like, what are you talking about? Like, Thanos can't be stopped. And let's be real, from what we've read and talked about tonight, Thanos can't really be stopped, Chris.
Because when he does, he always comes back.
Yo, like, Death fucked with him just to, like, you love me. Like, that's the entire first arc of this book is, you love me.
And then Thanos basically going like, I don't need you.
Thanos finally put his foot down.
Yo, and that's what makes it scarier. Because that's the other thing. So in the Thanos Win stuff, like he finds his older self pathetic.
Oh, he's disgusted with it.
He's disgusted with his older self.
So in the annual that came out today, the first page is kind of Frank, is the Cosmic Ghost Rider explaining what's going on. And he says, I got a little joke that goes like this. What's the difference between a fairy tale and a Thanos story? A fairy tale starts with once upon a time. Thanos stories, they all begin with, man, you ain't never going to believe this shit.
I'm not going to lie. Am I the only one before they revealed it was Frank Castle? Thought it was Wade Wilson?
Well, because if prior to Secret Wars, he had actually cursed Wade with eternal life.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the red herring. They wanted us to think it was Deadpool.
Yeah, because the other thing we covered that in our Deadpool stuff. We did cover the Thanos, and because at one point doesn't Death start?
Death starts hanging out with Deadpool.
With Deadpool, and Thanos is pissed.
He doesn't take it well.
He does not take it well. It's like, well, I mean, you see the woman you love and been hanging out with, and all of a sudden she's hanging around with that guy. That guy, that's the guy you want to hang out with. That's the guy you're dating now. That's your new boyfriend. Yeah, it's a little bit, yeah. But yeah, I here's the thing. Lovesick Thanos was frightening. Scott Pilgrim, I respect myself. I don't need you anymore. Thanos is truly is a fucking terror.
Yeah.
It's a fucking terror. Like his brother, at one point in that Thanos series, Arrows and is it Gamora? I think helps him too. No, Nebula. They all help him get his power back because Thane is fucking crazy. It's like, yeah, Thane's lost it. He's fucking crazy. So they help Thanos get his power back, and they know that he's gonna betray them. And he does it to Arrows, and he's just like, "Come on!" And Thanos is basically like, "Come on, you knew this was gonna happen. Come on, did you really think that this? Come on, I don't need your help. Use you. So good. Like Thanos is great. Yeah, and I'll say that I think the version we get in the MCU is done justice. Done really, really well, and I think people are really going to enjoy it. So
I hate you so much for putting that in here.
Come on, man. I try to be as respectful as possible, man.
I'm really excited to record our spoiler review as soon as after I see it. I'm going to see it in 24 hours. I'll be an hour and a half into the movie.
So can I make a suggestion that you schedule to try to see it again one more time before we record?
How?
I don't know.
We're recording Sunday?
We're recording Sunday. The reason why I'm saying that is because nigga is so much in this movie. There's so much. So I'm just saying.
I'm gonna burn my one question for you after we get off the podcast.
Okay.
So there you guys have it. If you listen to the whole thing, thank you guys very much. Again, you can subscribe and get the podcast, all of our Character Corner podcasts, by going to the wherever you listen to your favorite podcast at, and just put in Character Corner, and we'll pop up. You can get there, subscribe. The next Character Corner we're doing, at least for comic book characters, is going to be Cable. So it's Cable and the rest of the Summer's Family Bloodline. So we have that coming up. I'm probably also going to do something where I'm going to repost our Deadpool one on YouTube. And then we're going to start doing something new where I have an interview with a local, with a creator who did some animation for Mill City's Finest. And we're going to be having that come up very well as well. So, yeah, folks, stay tuned. Got some other stuff coming out. It's the end of April, so that means my pull list is coming out, and that'll probably be out on Monday. So, again, happy Infinity War weekend. Although anybody who's seen the movie probably doesn't leave you leave satisfied, maybe not happy, maybe a little broken, but man, those Russos did a great job. So, again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, we're out of here. Peace.